So in this video, we're going to talk about a common issue that most people don't even realize is a common issue, and that is creating an understanding of OKRs across an organization. So I think we kind of start by framing that a little bit and asking, where does the drive to implement OKRs within a company come from? And usually that's coming from leadership teams. So what that means is that the methodology and the OKR knowledge within the company is all within those leadership teams. Often they're crafting the methodology with the OKR coaches. And then this group have like a considerable collective knowledge of OKRs. But how can that methodology be passed down through the company?
It's a matter of bridging that gap between the different parties that are in the process of implementing OKRs. So you have your leadership, you have your champions, and you have your users, and all of them have to be on the same page and practicing the same methodology. So the key is using the platform that you're managing OKRs to actually transfer that information, because that's the one central hub that everyone is on, everyone has access to, that you want in your OKRs, and be able to use that platform to delineate that information across the teams and organization. So what we've created in Gtmhub is a way to transfer that information to the users and anyone that's part of the process.
So what do you think the value is that this board gives versus the more traditional ways of passing down OKR knowledge, which is through training sessions and asking people to maybe read a book, which is it's quite a big book. There's a lot in there.
I can't imagine that anyone actually goes and reads the book from a user standpoint. That's a pretty tall task for any common worker in an organization to go read an entire book, especially a high level strategic book like that. But I do think that the best way to delineate this information is through a centralized location that you can actually use your PowerPoint deck to put information in here. And instead of them going through and just looking through PowerPoint slides, it's more of an interactive and fun way to learn about OKRs. As you can see, there's ways to type objectives. And you will get feedback based on what you type in here, and it will be reflective of the methodology that the organization has put in place, which allows for easy and quick ways for the users to see if what they're thinking is aligned with their company. And not only does it do it for objectives, but it also does it for key results. It will tell them how their key result aligns with their company and how to fix that key result to better align.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we kind of all know about learning is that to get people to do learning that's beyond just their job role, which is what OKRs are, you have to make it as easy as possible. So having a PowerPoint hidden away somewhere in the bottomless pit of file structure that you have, is not quite as good as having a board like this or a page like this built into the product where they are actually doing their OKRs.
Exactly. This is where they're logging in to actually work on OKRs. So, they're going to log in and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Where do I go to learn what I'm doing? And it's right there within the platform itself. Yeah. So I found that to be really successful with customers. And, every OKR champion likes this idea because it takes work off of them at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've actually had people, a customer, just have a link to this board within like their onboarding tool for new employees. So as soon as they get a new employee, I mean, most of the time they've probably not done OKRs before. If they have, probably not, very well. And they just link off to this, and that's like their intro. They don't have to do any extra work. They've just got it all there and it's up to date. And then that person already has reference to it. They know it exists within the platform without having to send out an email that reminds everyone. go and
Yeah,
check.
that's really
his
cool.
page.
I didn't know that. That's a really good way to use it. But yeah, what I typically run into is, these OKR champions, they have these ideas, and then how do I get this idea to the thousands of people in our organization? And this is what I found to be the best way. And then not only does it provide the logic for how do we want our methodology to be represented within our organization. Now that we have that logic, we can check it and make sure that everyone is following this methodology in the tool as well.
Yeah, so once OKRs are written, how can OKR champions and leadership teams make sure that they do fit with the methodology?
So now that we have this logic, we can check all the OKRs within the system to see what objectives and key results are actually passing according to that company's methodology. So the education board and this review board kind of go hand in hand, and the education board helps them write it, and then review board helps the champions make sure that everyone is following that process. So the board gives you what results, how many OKRs are passing according to the methodology they set in place, how many need review, and an overall score. Now the score can be broken down into this summary, which shows exactly how their OKRs are, where their OKRs are lacking and where they're succeeding. And then they can kind of tailor their focus to what is lacking. And then you can go down and see all of the passing objectives and key results, all of the failing OKRs, and then see why they aren't passing. Sometimes it makes sense not to be aligned exactly with the methodology, but most of the time you can change a couple of things, a couple of mindsets, and make it align with the methodology.
Yes, I think the upgrade that this gives, based off of if you were doing your OKRs in a spreadsheet or something, they would just have to pass the eye test. Like the OKR champions or leadership teams would have to go through every single one and say, right, this doesn't quite fit. This needs to change to be more qualitative or quantitative, depending on where it is. And this board just automatically does all of that for them. But I think the disclaimer is important. We're not. This isn't going to tell you whether an OKR is a good one or a bad one. It's just whether it fits the methodology. Ultimately, people need to make good choices about the key results they're going to tackle, the objectives they're going to create. But this is a good start to making sure people are doing it in a consistent way. So that's how we're helping companies spread the knowledge of OKRs and their methodology throughout their company. And we'll see you next time.